Now, our personality today is going to help us appreciate the value of brain gain. She was born and raised outside Ghana. 10 years ago, she came back to Ghana to help Ghanaian businesses grow and help individuals also grow within their profession. I'm talking about Irene Asare, the CEO of CarvinClay. Throughout the conversation with her, if you have any questions, let us know with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, you can use the country code +233 and we will get your messages. Good morning, Irene.
Good morning, Dziffa.
How are you?
I am great, and it's fantastic to be here.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you very much.
Tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Irene Asare?
Who is Irene? A big question for this morning, but I would just sort of describe myself as a very determined woman who likes to problem solve and to go to places where others don't want to go or are not deemed to go. I feel like I just like to, I wouldn't say I'm a rule breaker, but I like to be different. I like to set the pace. I like to be creative. I think also I'm a mother, a mother of 3 strong boys.
Wow.
And
you look good. Like,
thank
if I'm walking down the street with you, no one will know you've had kids.
That's great. That's great. I'm a wife. I'm dedicated. I'm a family person, but I'm really, I guess, ambitious. I want to make an impact. I want to do something different for people. I'm all about people's growth, people's development. So I think that's how I would describe myself.
At what point in your life did you realize that you were so passionate about the growth of people?
I think I've always been good at relating to people and talking to people. And I think after a while, I felt like, actually, this is something I could do as a profession. I started to feel like, actually, I'm good at this. So I should continue doing this. I think for me, what's important, just having conversations with people, giving them advice, giving them support, and people taking it on and listening intensely. And that was great advice that you gave, or finding a solution. I think it gave me a lot more confidence that I could help people. And I just love to see people grow. I love to see people develop.
How was life like in the UK as a child to Ghanaian immigrant parents?
Oh, I had a fantastic upbringing, I have to say. I had a great childhood. I mean, my mum and dad did an amazing job with us, with my sister and my 2 brothers. So but what was interesting about the UK is there was always something slightly different. You know, having parents that are Ghanaian, you know, we spoke a different language at home, and then you had to kind of, when you go out of the house, you kind of speak English, or your mum speaking Tree with you, and then, you know, flipping to a different language outside. You could always sense there was a difference. I had lots of aunties and uncles who were obviously family friends, you know.
And your friends would be like, you have a lot of aunties.
I'm telling you, a lot. And then, to be honest, I didn't even notice that they really weren't my real family. But I think it was lovely. I mean, we had lots of Ghanaian foods, the culture. My dad was very, very strong on the Ashanti culture, for example. So we always were very familiar with that side. But equally, he was really open-minded. My parents were open-minded. We had a lot of discipline, but we had freedom as well. So I felt like it was a great balance and an ability to connect with my culture.
Wow.
Yeah.
When was your first time back to Ghana, and how was that like for you?
I came back to Ghana for the first time when I was 18. 18. So I was a proper British girl that landed in Accra.
And we didn't have
I'm telling you, I remember Dziffa very clearly. I was like, I'm not going to eat for a month. I'm probably going to be in a village environment.
What did you think of Ghana and Africa?
My goodness, lots and lots of black people, you know, very backward.
Tarzan.
I'm telling you, and it's amazing, isn't it? That's the first thought that you have. But I was still very intrigued, and I wanted to go. So my mum brought me, and I have to say, clearly I'm here now. I was amazed, and I felt I fit in. I think that was the first sense that I had. I felt like I breathe the air and I fit in, and this is home and this is me. And I had a very romantic view, and I had a great time. I mean, back then we used to party. And we still do. We still do. So, you know, going out there and partying and meeting.
Did you tour in Ghana?
We did Glenn's Miracle Mirage, you know, those back then we had all of those, a bus stop, you know, all of that. It was fantastic. It really, really was fantastic.
How long were you around?
When I used to come, it was holidays, so 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then we would leave, and then the depression would set in when we got back.
Why?
Because I think that, you know, there was so much freedom. You felt like you were meeting your own, you were relating, you were having so much fun, you were exploring. We would go from Accra to Kumasi to Cape Coast to other parts of Ghana. You're free, you're on holiday, you know, and then you come back and you've got to go back to work, study, you know, get serious. The weather.
But what did that journey teach you about your identity? Because we just had Year of Return last year, and a lot of African Americans, you know, Black British people who came here were like, for the first time ever, I felt like a human being.
Yeah. I think the identity issue for me has been long ongoing. So from very young, you can definitely see that when you grow up in the UK, you're different. Back then, when I was growing up, there were not many Ghanaians in the system, if you like, around. So I grew up with lots of West Indians, Nigerians, and obviously English people. So you could sense that your background was different. I still felt comfortable in the UK, but I knew in the back of my mind something was missing. So I think the whole journey of me being here where I am today was probably quite purposeful on my part, because I felt that eventually, I didn't know how, I would probably end up in Ghana. So I felt a strong connection, and I think over the years the ability to give back in some way, and I don't mean it condescendingly, but my skill, my expertise, my knowledge, to be able to give that to the country that I sort of call as home was really important to me. So I think the UK has certainly shaped me, and I'm eternally grateful, and I love being, you know, the British here for sure. I think it's definitely shaped me, but I appreciate the role it's played in my journey to date. Yeah.
So let's fast forward to 10 years ago when you decided that you were going to come invest your skill, your talent into Ghana.
Yeah.
How was that decision like?
That was really interesting. I made that decision, me and my husband made that decision in a month.
Really?
And
was it that easy?
And in 2 months we were here.
Wow.
And I think it was because we'd been starting to talk about, let's explore, you know, the opportunity to go back home. But we agreed on a few things. We said that we would move only for the right opportunity. I didn't want to dent my career, like you said, top of my game at that point. I wanted to make sure I moved with the right organization, the right company. So that opportunity came along. I joined Vodafone Ghana, and I came over. And if I thought long and hard about it, maybe I wouldn't be here.
Why?
Because I think that I would talk myself out of it. Already, I remember it very, very well, Dziffa. It was a March, it was cold, it was snowing. I remember it vividly. And I remember telling a few friends, because I didn't want to tell too many people because he wasn't quite sure. And, you know, a few friends said, oh, great. A few friends said, what are you doing? Do you know what you're doing?
Through a midlife crisis,
I'm telling you, you know, some friends said, oh, you'll be back in 6 months. So I felt like I had the UK, I guess, at the back of my mind. But we were very open-minded. And honestly, we didn't really know what we were coming into or what we would experience, because my husband also hadn't worked in Ghana. So we were both experiencing this for the first time. And we've had a great experience.
How was the first couple of months like? I mean, your kids are in a new environment. You were in a new office, a different country, even though you see that's home. How was that like for you?
That was really interesting. I'll tell you a little story. My youngest at the time was just 1.5. We landed, and then he started throwing up.
Wow.
We were like, And then he got food poisoning on the flight.
Oh, gosh.
And we then were rushing. It was surreal. And I think at that moment, a couple of days after, we were like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, that was
reality kind of.
you know, that was a big reality check. And then I think going into the office, I was like, you know, I had this romantic view. Remember, I was saying, I'm telling you, I was like, I'm Superwoman. I'm going to sort everything out. I also had a romantic view of it's party. So we'll do a little bit of work. I was so wrong on every level. I met, and it's important to say, I met fantastic people that were equally or even better qualified and experienced, right? I met wonderful people that I could engage with. I met people I could challenge and they could challenge me. So I think, you know, of course, I came in to do a major job and I got a lot of support. What was also interesting and a little bit disheartening, I have to say, is, you know, coming in and it's like, oh, this woman who's got this accent, you're not Ghanaian. I'm like, I have just come from somewhere where I feel like I'm not quite fitting, and then I come home. That was tough. I think for about 6 months I was like,
6 months.
Comments, you know, comments were made, you don't fit in, you're not one of us, you're not. And I think, to be fair, I think lots of people felt we were not going to stay anyway. Yeah. And we probably came with our two known selves. So, you know, we had to blend, we had to fit in, we had to find our way. But what's interesting, after about 6 months, I said, you know what? It's not my problem. Yeah. I'm absolutely Ghanaian. It's not about where I was born, it's about who I am. And so I'm a passport holder, I'm Ghanaian, my parents are, and so on, and I'm proud, and that's my attitude.
How do we handle that? Because not everyone will be as strong as you are. There are people who would just leave because they feel unwanted. So from the side of us locals, maybe we don't relate to the diaspora people when they come with their big English. But how do we empathize with them? And how do you guys also empathize with us? So. Let me take back my Superwoman perception and really meet people where they are.
I think you're right. I think it's a two-way street. It's a two-way relationship. I think I would say, speaking on behalf of some of the diasporas, is we mean well, we want to do good, we've got a lot of experience and exposure that we can absolutely offer and we can bring. I think that we need to be more humble, we need to be more relatable, because actually we are generally very similar in our thoughts. We want the best. I think it is about our approach and how we go about doing things as well. I mean, there are many reasons why also diasporas come to Ghana, right, or come back. Some of it is to do the give back, some of it is it wasn't really working out over there. There are many reasons. So I think that we need to be humble and understand, and I think you need to take time to assess your environment and not go charging in. Equally, what I would say about Ghanaians who are born and raised here and who are here is be open-minded. I find sometimes there are a lot of cliques. So if you're not part of the clique, you're not let in. So, and I think it's interesting, and I don't always think people know that they're consciously doing it, but it's a bit like if we all went to the same school, or we all went to the same church, or we tend to stick together. And I think we should try and be a bit open-minded about letting people in. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think just being conscious about that. And I think we can have a great relationship. In fact, we do have a great relationship. I know lots of people that I engage with. We have different upbringings. Of course, if I meet somebody who's grown up in America, they're very different to how I grew up as in the UK or Germany and so on. So we all have to find our way, and I think we just have common interests. One thing I will say, I remember my oldest son, when he moved and he went to school, one thing he said about Ghana, and he grew up in the UK for a long time, he said, there's one place I feel that I can laugh and be myself. And I think there is no boundaries of being diaspora or being Ghanaian. We generally laugh at the same things. We find the same things funny. You know, we have those commonalities.
So we have to make it work.
Absolutely.
Now, when we talk about, you know, natural resources, especially in Ghana, we're looking at cocoa, we're looking at gold, we're looking at bauxite. Sometimes we lose sight of human capital. What has your experience been investing in human capital?
I think, what would I say? we still have a long way to go, if I'm honest. We still have a long way to go. But equally, there's lots of opportunities. When I've come over the last 10 years, at least on the continent, I see companies investing in their human capital. I see companies at the top of their game. They've got the development programs, they've got the systems, they've got a great culture, they've got great structures, and people are growing and developing. We're hearing all the time about various awards, accomplishments, so it's happening, definitely. However, there is a proportion in the country that needs support and help and need to see the value. Right, I still sometimes in 2020, I'm still talking about human capital as an administrative function in organizations. And I can tell you the best organizations have great cultures, they have great people, they have great systems, they have great structures. I think I would say to a lot of business owners out there, take the time to invest in it. It will pay you in the long run tenfold. Because if you are a business owner, you think at the moment you don't need to have those structures. I've spoken to some clients that now they're like, oh, if we had started at the beginning with systems and structures and particular policies, we wouldn't be where we are now. Because 10 years down the line, the culture is formed. It's an amazingly difficult job to kind of reverse that culture. So I would say that on the continent, and not just Ghana, because I've worked across Nigeria, I've worked across Angola, I've worked across Ivory Coast and so on, in South Africa, of course. There is similarities. We're people, we're humans. We want the same things. We want recognition. We want good terms and conditions. We want meaningful work to do. So I think that's what I would say.
What has been your experience across the continent? You mentioned a few countries.
It's been interesting. I mean, each country has its different cultures. But fundamentally, like I said, we are quite similar. You know, so for example, when I went to South Africa, we all know the backdrop of issues that they've had in the past. They also still need talent development. They still need growth. They still are looking for opportunity. They're advanced in some areas. I would say Ghana are advanced in others. They've got many, you know, they've got BEE challenges and so on. So it's a big economy, big opportunities there. Where if you compare when I've worked in Nigeria, definitely go-getting, determined spirit, you know, go. And there is so much competition. So everybody's working, how can I stand out amongst the crowd? So there is a lot of attention and activity, but equally there are some areas for growth and development. When I look at Ghana, we all know our country here and what we need to do and take it to the next level. But in each of the countries that I've worked in, I've met amazing talent. Amazing talent. Equally, I have met talent that I think needs to be developed and nurtured and grown as well. So we really do have similar but different issues and challenges. And part of what I'm trying to do in my organization now is help across the continent raise that practice. Because like I said, I'm still surprised when I go into certain organizations, we don't have that basic level of HR practice.
Speaking of HR, a lot of people within that space sometimes focus so much on helping the company reach their goals that they lose sight of the fact that their employees are also mothers, fathers, humans beyond just a number at the job. How do they humanize the way they do their work?
I think that's really important, and I think, Dziffa, if nothing else, COVID has taught us a lot. Human life is valuable and precious. You know, when we think about times where you've been a go-getter and you're trying to get to the top, at what cost? You know, at some point, everyone will step aside. We all talk about, you know, if you're not there tomorrow, the organization will find a replacement, right? So I think that what I would say to business leaders, first of all, is also talent. Good talent is hard to find. You want to nurture your people. You want to get the best. You know, we are all, at the end of the day, we're humans. We respond differently. The way I talk to you, the way you talk to me, I respond differently to information. So try and take time to understand your people and what they want. That doesn't mean that you're a great employee, you have to give everything. You also can't do that. But I tell you, people respect people that have integrity, and their yes is their yes and their no is their no. They know where they stand, and they respect employers that even have an open mind. So I would say to business leaders and managers and so on, think about that, because when you start to develop a culture that's toxic, bad news gets around fast. You know, all of a sudden it's like, oh, that organization, oh, you don't want to go there. People don't stay. There's turnover. There's issues that indirectly affect your business. Equally, I would say to us as employees of businesses, you know, we've come to do a job. You know, the employer has invested money into growing their business. If we have a successful business, we have a long-term opportunity and job. We have growth. We have many opportunities. Let us make the most of it, particularly now in our environment. We really don't know what's going to happen in our future. Yeah.
And speaking of COVID, I mean, some of the companies have struggled with employees leaving the minute the going got tough.
Yeah.
Companies flat out laying people off without handling it with a bit more emotional intelligence. What lessons can we learn from what we've been through this year?
Yeah. I think there's going to be books upon books. There's so much information out there. I think that it's been tough for everyone. You know, business leaders, managers have had to make tough decisions, and I think most organizations took their time, hopefully, to make those decisions. But when you see that your business isn't thriving because you've been locked down for a couple of weeks and then people are not going out for a couple of months, you have to make some tough decisions. It really is about the way in which you communicate, Dziffa, with your employees. I mean, if you're going to go in there and just lay people off, but communicate, business isn't doing well, you can see business isn't doing well. If things improve, we'll certainly call you back, and we need to make some challenges. We need to survive. It's about survival. Because we all can see it. I think what is important, go through a process of due care. The last thing we want in COVID is the Labour courts, the Labour Commission, having more issues that could be avoided. So I think that's one thing I would say to employees. Please don't take it personal. It really is a tough decision. I'm a business owner. Making these calls, you do have sleepless nights. You do worry about staff. You do worry about livelihood. We are very, very cognizant of the fact that we create livelihoods for people. So I think as employees, I know it's difficult, but right now is a time to think about upskilling. What is it you can take in any difficult situation? I truly believe you can take something from it. And what will you take from it? Is this the time to say, actually, this is the time for me to kind of upskill? This is the time for me to learn more. This is the time for me maybe to go study for a while. This is the time for me to spend more time with my family. I mean, for me, for example, I've got to know my boys much more than I ever knew, and I thought we knew each other. You know, spending that quality time you can't take back. So there's a silver lining somewhere. Equally, I know the challenges that individuals will have. Irene, I'm at home, I've got nothing to do, I don't know when my next opportunity will come. Nobody can predict the future. What is important is to continue to have the right mindset so that new opportunity comes back, you're ready for it, and you can embrace it.
Speaking of new opportunities, you decided to become an entrepreneur.
I did.
During a pandemic.
I know.
I don't know what informed that.
I'm telling you, how strange, right? I sat down, I thought about it the other day, and I thought, my goodness, what am I doing? So just before the pandemic, like a week, just before the pandemic week, I decided, I've always wanted to run my own company and give back, and you know, I'm trying to fill a gap that's out there. So COVID comes and I think, what am I doing? My first reaction is, this isn't the right time. That's what everybody's saying. And then after a couple of weeks, Dziffa, I started to say, hold on a second. One topic that kept coming up is people. this is the time that organizations sit down, leaders say, actually, my organization isn't really working. I need to manage how I'm dealing with COVID. I need my best people. And I felt like all of a sudden the conversation started around, okay, we might have to lose people. How do we do that? We might have to restructure. How do we do that? A number of things came up, and it all centered around the business that I'm trying to do. So that's what gave me the confidence to continue to still keep doing what I'm doing, because I truly believe that this is definitely needed on the continent. An HR practice, an HR consultancy, an advisory service that really understands what goes on the continent, I think is really important.
And how did you want to differentiate CarvinClay from all the big brands that
I
you've
know,
worked with
my
and
goodness. I think I like to differentiate for the fact that I'm leading it. I've got a lot of experience over 25 years doing HR practice. I think the fact that I've been fortunate over the last 10 years to be working on the continent and across these countries, I think has given me an added advantage. I think that I'm trying to challenge the status quo. When we see the status quo at the moment, it's the norm. Oh, go see the HR manager and do some admin. I want to bring other conversations to the table. When you have an HR person sitting in your boardroom, I can talk to you about the company's numbers, the company's performance, how that will impact productivity, the talent. You know, sometimes gaining the talent can make all the difference to your organization at that moment in time. Making sure we steer away from union issues or labor relations issues or employee engagement. So I feel that me leading with my years of experience helps. Having a dynamic team, you know, the ability to respond fast, the ability to respond quickly, the ability to know what you need. Why do I say that? Because I've sat on that side. I'm not coming from a pure consultant and, you know, doing lots of research. I've lived it. There are many situations I would be challenged to see situations I haven't known about or been exposed to, because I've worked also across so many different industries. So it's not just banking, telecoms, oil and gas, it's so many. So I feel that hopefully that's what will make us different. And I pride myself in my work. It's about the standard. You know, the type of standard I'm trying to set is really important.
How's the experience like building a brand new baby, coming from a place where you work with big brands? You walk into a room, everyone knows the brand that you're working with.
And then I go in as Irene.
Go in as CEO of CarvinClay.
CEO of CarvinClay. You just, I think it's a transition. You have to be honest. It's a transition. You know, you go and your name speaks before you. I think that's still keeping me in good stead today, right? But I think it's a transition. I think also I got to the point in my career that I knew this is the next step for me. So I think your mindset has to change. You have to realize that. And I'm determined, Dziffa, to build the same reputation in this industry, in my new company. I'm determined that when we talk about HR practice in the future, CarvinClay is amongst the names that we talk about. So it's a challenge. It's still work in progress, I have to say, but I'm getting there. It's really about what I can deliver for you and the value that I can bring to your company. So that's the focus.
Let's talk about mentoring.
Oh yes.
Why mentorship?
Oh, it's really dear to me. It's dear to me because, and I say this on two levels, and hopefully folks will understand. When I talk about the name CarvinClay, it's about carving a piece of wood and molding clay. And people think, when you bring that together, for me, it's about carving people. So me as an individual, as Irene, I've been carved throughout my career. I've been molded as a person, and I've been shaped to be who I am today. I think about that when I relate that immediately to mentorship. I've had some amazing people who have looked out for me. Managers, colleagues, people afar who've said, I see something in you and I want to help nurture that. I never had a formal mentoring program where this was deliberate. This was all ad hoc. So one of the things that I did when I came back or onto the continent is it was bugging me. I met a number of young, early career HR professionals that kept saying, can you be my mentor? Can you be my mentor? And after a while, I had too many.
Yeah.
And so I sat down and I thought, what is a program I can actually design that can be very deliberate? Because I'm concerned on two levels. I had a lot of people that were approaching me that needed help. They were the lone HR person in their organization. Their MDs and so on were not listening to them. They needed support. So I crafted this 12-month program. When I crafted this 12-month program, I said to myself, honestly, will people do this for 12 months? Will you assign you a mentor, come to monthly coaching sessions, have resource sessions? At those days, we didn't even do webinars. Come in, engage. And can you believe it? I did the first mentoring program. There were participants who never missed not one
Wow.
coaching session. I was really fortunate. I have amazing colleagues in the industry. I was able to pull on my other colleagues, other HR practitioners who came in and gave resource talks and had discussions. And Dziffa, I could see people develop. It's not something that I'm saying and it's a mentoring program. It has impacted people where HR professionals who were not confident have now grown confidence through the program. They also instantly created a network for themselves, which they didn't have before. So it's really about impact. It makes a difference when you take time to invest in people. It really does.
And how important is it to pay it forward? Because I think as people, we're always focusing on what can I get, how far can I get, without pausing to say, how can I pay this forward?
I think a lot of our mentors have exactly that mindset, because their view of the world is somebody did this for me in my career, so I'm going to do it for them. And I hope that we give the impression, at least for our mentees, that they will do it for their people. I would say it's really important. We all needed a helping hand, and sometimes that's the difference in believing in yourself. You need sometimes someone to say, you're okay. Don't worry. You've had a bit. You've had a little bit of a wobble.
Yeah.
You can get
tripped
back
a little bit. You didn't fall yet.
Absolutely. You can, because that's part of our stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot sit in front of you today and tell you I haven't had a few of those.
Oh, share them with us, girl, because people are watching. We don't want people to quit their jobs overnight.
Oh my goodness.
So for people who may be looking at walking away from their jobs to start their own thing, I know you said a week before coronavirus, but what goes into the preparation? Because I think your first few months when that salary isn't coming in and this startup is just bleeding you dry, you eat a humble pie.
I'm telling you. And I think I have to be honest, you do have those moments, and they are frequent, and they still come. They still come. I think that what I would say is, for someone who's at the point where you're not quite sure what you need to do next and you want to quit, I think never make a decision in the harshest of when you're in the heat, because you think, yes, this is what I'm going to do. But in reality, you need to take time, step back, assess yourself. What role have you played? The self-reflection is so important, because sometimes we often think it's them, it's the company, it's this. What role have you played in that? Do your homework. So before I stepped in to my company, I did some homework, some research, some business analysis. You have to do those boring, mundane things. You have to do some various projections to see if it's going to work for you. Aside that, you need to stop and think, why am I moving now? Is it a natural progression, or is it my company is this and I don't like them and they don't understand me and I don't like my manager? Think about the role that you play in that. Is there an opportunity to learn from this difficult period that you're having and what you can do to change that period? So I think it's important to say, what's the business that you're going to do? Do you think it's going to be viable or not? We never know if it's going to be, but you must do research to back up. And then think about where you are now. Are you being hasty? Do you need to kind of step back a moment? I mean, when I think about myself, I've had many of those moments where I thought, I want a new job, or I want a new opportunity, or it's not working out. These sometimes are moments in our lives that stop and make us think about things differently. They make you stop and think, actually, Irene, this is a hard project that isn't giving me the success that I thought I would get. What do you learn from that? What do you take from that? We're not perfect people. We make mistakes. Things happen. But my thing is, what do you learn so that it can help you grow? So that by the time, Dziffa, you're ready to make that move, you're making it on a very level playing field. You're not doing it harshly. I equally understand sometimes circumstances happen and you've got to react quickly. Being able to react quickly into the market and develop or push a product or something is also important. But it's important to have your homework and do your homework well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, in under 1 year, you've been able to launch your first magazine.
Oh my gosh,
recently.
I know.
How was that like? It's beautiful.
I tell you, I sit there. Oh my God.
Very informative.
Oh, thank you. Human Capital Magazine Africa has again something that's been on my mind for a while. I wanted a resource that was African, Pan-African, that would be useful to you, to business leaders, managers, practitioners. I wanted it to be content rich, and hopefully I've achieved that. And I wanted to draw the attention of people that are not always in the limelight, but are doing amazing works. So I thought about this 6 months ago, and I said yes, and it wouldn't be so difficult. How wrong I was. How, getting the articles in, the right articles, the right kind of writing, making it interesting, the right kind of information, getting the interviews, putting it all together, making it look and feel was a challenge. My goodness. But I also wanted it to be digital. Look where we are now. Things are online. Things are very much digital. So I wanted that resource so that everyone in Africa and the rest of the world can access it. So I sit down and I shake my head sometimes because I'm still surprised. I'm still amazed. But it just shows you what you can do if you put your mind to it.
Wow.
It really does.
What drives you?
I'm my worst critic.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm still trying to figure that one out. I'm my biggest critic. Me drives me, which is sometimes a challenge because I'm not in competition with anybody else. So I think honestly, when I look back, humble beginnings. Growing up in the UK, my parents didn't have lots, but they had a loving family and environment, and they ingrained in us hard work. They ingrained in us honesty, integrity, speaking up for yourself, and I think that has driven me. Just trying to be the best, trying to do well, the best that I can do, trying to be different. And creative and innovation is really what drives me, honestly.
What's next for CarvinClay?
Oh, growth. What's next for I think we want to always be at the forefront of innovation. So digital magazine is a product. Of course, our core is advising and providing culture change, and we're available to do that for everyone. But I think it's just growth and having a great reputation and continuing to be a thought leader in this space.
Thank you so much, Irene.
Thank you.
Where do we find you?
You can find me on my various social media handles, but I think if you go onto LinkedIn, Irene Asare, I'm very, very vibrant on LinkedIn. And of course, my company website, which is www.CarvinClay, as in CarvinClay.com.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Dziffa. Thank you
at home for staying. So that was Irene Asare, CEO of CarvinClay. Came back to Ghana, has been invested in the development of this continent and this country for the past 10 years, has recently launched her own company to really give back and help us be the best versions of ourselves. Hi there, we hope you enjoyed the show.
Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends.
This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.